Good morning. Welcome to Hot Seat. This guy needs no introduction. He's one of the original Fab Four of our coverage for the last 2.5 years over COVID. Dr. Dwight Sublett, good to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Sure, the past president of the Oklahoma Academy of Pediatricians. Something called RSV is going around. It's led CBS the other day. People are talking about it. RSV is what?
RSV is short for a virus called respiratory syncytial virus. It is a very common virus. It's the most common cause of need for hospitalization for babies 12 months and under. We see it each year. It varies in the frequency, the amount that we see, and we're expecting this year that RSV is going to be stronger, and part of that is due to the fact that we have been in isolation the last couple of years.
Okay, the reports are that hospitalizations are up all across this country, so it looks like an outbreak of some sort. How would you describe the outbreak?
Well, it's concerning at this point. The only place that I've heard that they're really having some difficulties is Connecticut, where they've actually, excuse me, the hospitals have had to call in or asking for National Guard to help provide care to these children. Pretty big outbreak in Texas right now. In Oklahoma, we've had about a doubling of the admissions at the Children's Hospital as compared to a month ago. But it's not out of control by any means at this point. But it is something we're going to keep our eye on because it's starting early this year and it goes throughout the winter season into the spring. So it will be something we'll watch and monitor along the way.
All right, so we're talking about children,
yes,
newborns, that sort of thing. So you're parents of newborns. What do you need to be concerned about? What should be watching for?
Well, starting out, it's very hard to distinguish between viruses. If you're looking at cold versus influenza versus COVID versus RSV, they start out alike. Maybe some slight cough and congestion, a little irritability, maybe a slight fever. Doesn't seem like much. Maybe just baby's getting a cold. But with RSV, you have to watch, particularly in the young infant, and even more so in a premature infant, increasing respiratory distress. They're working harder to take breaths in and out. They may be grunting when they breathe. Their nose may have nasal flaring, that sort of thing. And it starts out maybe a little bit and then gets worse and worse and worse. And so they have increased respiratory distress, and that's when we get concerned. They start wheezing, looks kind of like an asthma episode, that sort of thing. So
you start seeing this as a parent, then what do you do?
Well, it depends somewhat on the child. Okay, if it's an older child, say 8-month-old baby, you can watch a little while before you would consult with your pediatrician or with your primary care doctor. If you've got a 1 or 2-month-old baby, and particularly if your baby is premature or just come out of the neonatal ICU, you're going to be consulting your doctor much sooner and say, hey, baby's starting to have some distress. And more than likely, they're going to say, come on in, we need to take a look and see what's going on.
A big question with RSV, and this is starting to increase around the country. Should young parents that have babies, should they be requiring people that come around their babies to be masking up?
Good question. It never hurts with any respiratory virus. We did this with COVID. COVID is spread by respiratory droplets. Influenza is, and RSV is. Anytime you have an illness where if you cough, sneeze, that sort of thing, and potentially can spread it to the infant, it never hurts to mask. It never hurts to mask. We used it, of course, during COVID and seemed to be somewhat effective, certainly didn't hurt anything, and so that is a good thing to think about.
All right, 30 seconds. This also can affect older people, right?
Yes, it can. Particularly, we're concerned about older folks above the age of 60, and particularly in that age group, people who have underlying diseases such as congestive heart failure, or maybe they have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, that sort of thing, lung problems, heart problems. In that case, they can be susceptible or vulnerable to the effects of RSV.
Okay, so 5 seconds. If you're over 65, get the flu shot. It'll help.
Get the flu shot, get caught up on the COVID shots. We need to do that because we may be hit not only with RSV, but we may still be dealing with COVID, and certainly they're looking at a high incidence of flu this year.
Dr. Dwight Sublett, original member of the Fab Four docs that spent so much time getting information out to Oklahomans. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you, sir.
See this again at news9.com/YourVoteCounts and follow me on Twitter @MitchellTalks.